Hey, I'm Caleb, and this is the show. I figured I'd start off today with, well, welcome to this podcast. I guess I just turned 35 as I record this, and it's the first year of being a dad. It's been pretty crazy. It's the first year of taking therapy seriously. It's the first year of a lot for me, and it's the second year of some other things, and I've just seen a whole bunch of growth. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. Uh, I think the first thing I want to talk about is being a dad. Just all of the cliche things that they say about it are like totally true. And they really are the best, except for, like there are these MFers who, like when Sam was pregnant with Evie, who would just tell me like, "Oh, your life's over. That's it. It's over. You're done. It's over. You're just like nothing's ever going to be the same again." And like, I don't know. It's if you're just like miserable with kids right off the bat, like, what was the point of even having them? You know what I mean? Just like Evie has been nothing but the best, and I'd like miss when she's not around. Gadget, now's not the time. I miss when she's not around. Just even when it's challenging, even when she's almost 11 months old, still can't really talk. And like when she plays and stuff, it's like she just kind of like picks stuff up and puts it in her mouth and whatever. There's not much there, but like she can be challenged sometimes. She doesn't want to play. She's just kind of whiny. It's not shit. But even when that's happening, she is the best thing. I really mean it. Even when she just decides to, so we have this like side table next to the couch, and it's one of those ones that you're meant to like, I don't know, like tuck underneath the couch. It's like really tall. For those of you not watching this, it's kind of tall. It says, it's tall enough to like you could be sitting down and it would like go over your leg. So you're meant to like kind of like tuck it into the couch and have it like right there next to you while you're watching TV, whatever. We keep it on the side of the couch for some reason, like an end table. And it's not super sturdy. They're very lightweight, and they're not very big. They're very like thin and stuff. And can you making the camera shake? And Evie is just tall enough to be able to stand there and like bite at the edge of it with her mouth and put her hands on it and try and get things off the top of it. But she's not tall enough to actually like get most things off of that unless it's right on the edge. And it's also just coincidentally where like everything ends up if you're sitting in that spot on the couch, which is the main spot on the couch. So remotes are there, drinks are there, everything. And that leads me to the thing that is just like driving me the most nuts lately is she just like is standing on that thing and I'm not paying attention, and I've just made a cup of coffee. This has happened twice this week. I've just made a cup of coffee and she like is trying to get something on the table. I'm not exactly paying attention. My watch is yelling at me about my medicine. And just like she inevitably like pulls the table over just enough that everything spills over and she gets freaked out and lets go and falls over backwards, and like there's coffee spilled all over the room, and it's a great time, right? So I'm cleaning that up and she's upset, and like even during that it is I don't like I'd sure I could be doing other things most every single morning, but like it's great. She's the best thing. She doesn't know what she's doing. It's like she's just figuring out life, right? So someday she'll figure out I don't need to pull this over on top of myself, and I don't need what's in my dad's coffee cup because it's not for babies. I hope you hear this someday. But she's just like she's healing for me. And yeah, full on disrespectful drinking water. I don't care. I gotta keep this thing moisturized. Not sponsored by Bubbly, but I should be. So let's work on that. Um, I was talking about this with my therapist. First of all, if you're not in therapy, do it. And if you tried it and ended it, do it again. Do it again until it sticks. Because I was that way. I was just like, oh, I've done it and it never. And I finally found the person who, boy, she gets me before I get me. And it's really great. And it was that way from the start, which is also really great. From a young age, I remember being in situations with my parents, or like things happening to me, or things being said, or watching one parent treat the other a certain way. I can remember from a very young age. I don't want to say 7, but for some reason that number sticks out in my head. Like, I remember having thoughts of like this, I do not want to raise my kids like this, which is, you know, not a cool thing to be thinking when you're 7 years old, or however old I was. Not a thing to be thinking as a child, period. And that has obviously stayed with me my entire life, and that list is way too long. But it like, it's not like I don't have this list written down somewhere, or even it's not like I could sit here and name things, like, sorry, that was bothering me. I couldn't sit here and name, this incident and this thing that they did, but it comes out in the way that I treat Evie, I think. And if I was trying to do this without therapy and without like any kind of emotional awareness, I struggled to like to think about like how terrible this would all be. And I have a family member right now kind of going through that a little bit, just like trying to raise a kid and like not having done some of the work that I am very, very thankful that I did and have been very fortunate to do. Resources are out there, but it's tough. It's tough out here in these streets, man. Like, I'm lucky to have had somebody like my wife in my life who doesn't take no for an answer, and has only ever wanted to see me get better, because she has always been able to see that I'm a good person and I'm a gentle person and I'm loving and caring. It just was buried under so many years of hurt. And you can't change something until you see it for yourself, no matter how many times somebody tells you about it. Until you're ready to change, it's never going to happen. So being a dad and like yeah, having to just like put myself aside in ways that I didn't know were possible has been really challenging, but really healing to see myself decide to show up in healthy ways and not react in unhealthy ways. And when I do something that is unhealthy or hurtful, or when I'm human and I mess up, I'm not like, it's not the end of the world. I'm trying to give myself grace, and I hope that like Sam can give me grace, and I hope that like when Evie is old enough to understand it, she can give me grace, because I'm a lot less unhinged than I could be, and I think everybody should be a little more thankful for that. I say with a little wink. Yeah, I'm not saying that being a parent is for everyone and that being a dad is for every guy or whatever, but like for me, it has been a healing experience. I've gotten to, so far in the last 10 months, like choose to be a parent to Evie who like that I didn't have for myself. And that's been really great. And I am thankful for my therapist for helping me be able to see that and recognize it. And that I've spent the last year just kind of like focusing on ways to be able to do that in real time, because I didn't have the emotional maturity or availability to like understand, what was making me uncomfortable or whatever. Just processing my emotions was not something I was good at. Man, I love bubbly water. It's a good spot for a break. Welcome back. Yeah, something else that's kind of like jumped out. As long as this episode is officially like just kind of like wrapping up 2023, and yeah, welcome. If this is where you're starting, I'm sorry, but also this is the first episode, so if this is where you're starting, I'm sorry. Something that I've had a lot of fun with this year, a lot of success with this year, is my like live audio engineering. In 2021, I started working for a company called D16. We do install work, and that is for another episode. That's a whole other pot of coffee. But Division 16 used to do live events, and all of that kind of like side of the business was basically sold off and done with by the time I came on board. But there was like one client who was like kind of still on the books, and it's called the St. Cecilia Music Center here in a good old Grand Rapids. Don't be creepy. And I produce all of the jazz and folk series shows that come through. We run from like September to May, pretty much. 1 or 2 shows a month, and I started producing those by like, so there was one dude that I worked with at D16 who was kind of so it was his job to like rent all the gear and get all that stuff in, but he didn't care. The only reason he did it was because it had been like he had been a tour manager for a long time. And so like he started working at D16, and they like kind of got rid of the whole live side of the thing, but that still needed to be done. They were a client, and it was like, hey, you dude, you do this other dude. So I started working there, and he needed somebody to help him with these shows, and I was, the new dude on the crew, and like it's live, like shows like that are like what I'm into. And I tour with a country band, blue collar rock country band named Wayland from Nashville, Tennessee. As much as I can. This year has been my least amount of touring because of having a baby. Makes sense though, but I've been out and about with them for like 7 years, doing all kinds of things. More on that side of my mixing in a minute. But like back to 2021, I started doing these shows, and because I knew how to mix audio, this guy he would take care of all the ordering and set it up, and I would just kind of show up, be a stagehand, and then sometimes run sound for these shows, or I'd run monitors, whatever. At the end of that year, he was like, hey, do you want to like kind of take this over? But also at the same time, our boss at D16 was like, hey, this isn't going to be a D16 thing anymore. I'll like allow you to carve time out of your work schedule to be able to produce these shows, because sometimes they're on Tuesdays or sometimes they're on Thursdays. A lot of them are on the weekends though, but like, so, which is a cool thing, something my boss didn't technically have to do, but he sees it as like, it was an existing thing. He's got somebody who's going to turn it into like a side hustle, and he appreciates that, and I appreciate that about him. But he was like, I want this off the books. I want this out of our like tax bill at the end, like, which totally understand. So this guy goes about trying to set up his own deal and starting a bank account, and he's going to, still kind of do the shows the way he has been, but now we got to figure out money. And that did not go well. He, like me, is terrible at money, but he's even worse than I am, and I'm really bad with money, but at least I don't lose it. And I still, though, just like, kind of through that season, 2022, started to get a little bit more involved with the rental side, like setting up the rentals, the backline, blah, blah, blah. And No, that was 2020, wasn't it? 2020 and 2021. Because, yeah, that was. It was 2020. Wow. Time flies when you're not having fun. Um, I, yeah, so 2020, 2021 was the season that we kind of did together where I like started to figure it out. And at the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022, but like the end of that season, beginning of 2022, spring, that dude left the company and was just like, I'm not going to do these shows anymore. And so I ended up just like, I started my own business, which is something that I've been kicking around since I moved here 10 years ago. Like, but I never knew exactly what to call it. I never knew exactly what I was going to do. And I wasn't in a place to like just be out there trying to like drum up clients or like, and I'm not a sales guy. I can't just go like, I'm terrible at talking to people. The fact that I'm doing this right now is because I'm alone in this room, which is also on the docket for, we'll see if I get there today. But like, I finally, I was kind of like just backed into the corner. Like, I need to have an LLC just for like the amount of money that is involved to produce a show, of even a small band size is astronomical. It just is. Like, this stuff just costs money. Audio production, music, all of it just costs money. It's the way it is. And yeah, so I started kind of like kicking around in my head how I wanted to do this, what I wanted to do. I thankfully had my boss to like bounce questions off of, and my wife has her own LLC and whatever. So I kind of have stumbled my way through that. And in the last couple years as well, I started editing a podcast, a like fishing podcast, about fly fishing. It's called Hallowed Waters. If you're into that sort of thing, check it out for sure. And if you're watching the video, I'm sorry, I'm just really not into what the lights are doing right now with you. Anyways, I started editing this like fishing podcast about fly fishing, and so I've just been kind of like slowly building up like stuff I can show other people, and I've been like slowly building up my skills with touring with Wayland and building up skills with the shows at St. Cecilia. And now, since 2022, I have been. This is my second season now running it by myself. I hire my stagehands when I need them. I got like one dude who's just kind of like at every show with me, and I love it. I hope we have him on the show here, just to see what happens. And it's like challenging, just like having Evie, but like in ways that I didn't ever think it was going to be challenging. I learned that, and it took me too many shows, but my procrastination still can just stop me in my tracks. It is unbelievable. I used to I almost didn't finish high school because I just couldn't. Homework and projects were just not something I could do because of procrastination. I just was like, I don't know, it's terrible. And I like flunked out of college because I never went to class, and because I didn't have a solid bedtime or anybody telling me to go to bed, and I would sleep through all my classes and I'd never do any of the homework, and ADHD. And that's something too that's been the biggest part about running my own business, is learning to, and again, thank God for therapy, like manage my anxiety, manage my procrastination, just doing the dang thing. And that's why ideas like keep moving and get out of the way have been so powerful and impactful for me, because I struggle with that. I get hung up on being nervous about, okay, so like with shows. First of all, why the fuck can't artists, writers be accurate to what they actually fucking want? Like every show, if you're not in showbiz, this is the way this works. You're going to come play a show here in Grand Rapids with your band. and it's, just the four of you. And a lot of these shows are like one-offs, or like touring these days, unless you're Taylor Swift. Touring is not something that happens like where you're just on the road a whole bunch at a time. A lot of touring these days is little random weekend runs, and you go back to your life, and then you do that again on the weekends, kind of deal. And so you're going to go play a show, and so you have a manager, and you discuss with your manager like the instruments that you need to just be able to like get in a car and drive from wherever you are to us, or if you're flying, if you're flying, whatever, just like you communicate with your manager. Hey, I need, if I'm playing the drums, these are what I like. These are the brands I like. These are the cymbals I like. These are the heads I like just everything. And you write that all down, and your manager sends that to somebody like me. And it says, hey, drums, get this, 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 and this. Don't get this, this, and this. And if you need to substitute something, here are things that you could substitute. Bass guitar, we need this amp, we need this kind of speaker, if you need to substitute here. Like every single artist that is touring has a manager, and their manager works with them to put this rider together so that you show up. And even if you are bringing your own instruments, okay, well, we're going to need microphones and cables and microphone stands for everything, and this is everything we're going to need a mic. And if they're sending their own sound person, oftentimes it's like, these are the microphones I want to use. Otherwise, it's up to me as the house sound guy. Like, I'll mic it however I want to, right? You're just here to play. Why the fuck does every show come up and every single artist walk on stage and have something to say about the equipment that I'm providing to them, when their rider is provided to me a minimum of 6 weeks before they ever step foot in the door? I just, figure it out. It infuriates me to no level, because I'm the one who was responsible for getting all that stuff. And I went over it with a fine-tooth comb, because 6 months ago and a year ago when I was doing these shows and people would yell at me about this stuff, then the next show would have so much anxiety about it that I would procrastinate, because I didn't that's how all this started. I started doing these jobs, and then being the one responsible for ordering the gear and feeling so terrible when I didn't have what these guys want. My theater doesn't just have a massive closet full of everything. That's not how this works. You tell me what you need, and I order it, and I bring it in special. So don't show up and say, oh, we also need 3 watch batteries, this really weird size, and we also need 2 guitar stands, and we also need a stool to sit. No, you had your chance. So hey, if you're touring and you're listening to this, fix your fucking riders. Because it's literally driving me crazy and giving me ulcers. I'm over it. This is a good spot for another break. All right, and I think I'm going to wrap up today with it's only been 25 minutes, though. This is a big list. We're going to wrap up today with music stuff, even more music stuff. I lied. We're not wrapping up here. It's a good spot for break. Inside of all that whole rant was just this, see, these artists show up and their rider isn't correct, and expect this stuff to be there. Fair. They are used to playing with a very certain set of instruments, and I know for me, if I'm used to my guitar, or I'm used to my pedal board that's at my feet here, or just, if you're used to something and that's part of how you have your memory and muscle memory and stuff, then sure. But if you can't get it right before you even get it to me, I used to feel bad about that, and it legit overruled everything for me for the rest of the day. So these dudes would get in and they'd be upset about stuff on the rider, and I would take it personally, because that's just how I was raised, and I'm working on it, but and I've come very far on that, actually. Thank me very much. But I would take it personally, and let it build up, and then I'd be having a bad day for the rest of the show. And this is like during setup. We haven't even done anything yet. There hasn't been a sound check. There hasn't been a performance. Nothing, right? And like that's just been that's one of my demon dogs, is just like I have so much self-doubt. I don't trust myself at all. At least I didn't used to. I do a lot more now. I am very confident in myself now, and that's great. But it's not like, it's not a toxic confidence. It is just like when I'm in my thing, doing my thing, and I know that I'm doing the best that I can, and that I've done the best that I can up until a point now with an artist. Last show I just did was exactly that. Like, had everything down to a T, and they still found stuff to complain about. And I've just learned that some artists are going to be that way, and it's really too bad. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Like, I can only do so much, and I am done. Thank you to therapy. I'm done feeling responsible for that kind of stuff. As long as I have fulfilled my side of the contract with these shows, and I'm not being a jerk, and then I don't want to say fuck your face, but like get it together. Because I'm trying real hard here to have a real good show. And I want you to sound good. I want to have fun with this. I don't want to be upset about the fact that like you don't have the right instruments, but like help me help you. That's all I have to say on that. Oh man. How do people, maybe this is a skill that I'll develop. Maybe I talk too fast. Maybe that's what I want to learn here. But like how do people do these like shows for such a long time? It's only been 28 minutes. Weird. Yeah, my procrastination, and something that I've learned in therapy the last year is that I do, like, it's undiagnosed. I'm working on it. Dr. Bober, I need to call you. And I'm working on getting like official ADHD testing, but like my therapist, in the very first session in person, we're sitting there chatting, I'm telling her about my life, and she just stops me mid-sentence and she goes, "You have ADHD, right?" And I said, "No, not like officially." And she goes, "No, well, okay, well, you have ADHD, so let's just kind of like, we'll make that our base floor of operations." And she's right. Like, as I've learned more about it, and actually like kind of like started to see patterns in my life and recognize them, yeah, I totally have it. And so like, but being able to see that and like fight it, and just, I am excited to see what happens when I have official testing, and maybe then have access to medicine or something. I don't know. I started antidepressants this year too. That's been life changing. All of this has been just like pieces of the puzzle being added, things being brought into focus, things being honed and refined to just help me be a better person all around. And I think having Evie to tie that into that has like forced me to do it on a accelerated time scale. But that's exactly how I work, and I'm okay with that. So hopefully I can kind of figure out that I don't have to do, like, figure out in a way that I don't have to do this with all of my emotions for the rest of my life. I think now that I'm kind of in a rhythm with therapy and being aware that, it doesn't have to be this like, man, the first like 6 months, 7 months of therapy and all that stuff was just so rough. And not that it's not rough sometimes, but like I, for the first 6 or 7 months, walked out of there once a week just feeling like I got my ass handed to me. And it's the hardest work I've ever done in my life, but it's been so good for every area of my life. It's helped me manage running my own business better. And so far, that looks like, one, all this stuff with St. Cecilia. It looks like finally figuring out a system for invoicing people and like taking that to a professional level through the like constant poking of my therapist. It looks like accurate time tracking using Timery and Toggle. And I'm using Square invoicing for my invoicing stuff, if you're curious about that. Like, and it's ultimately, it comes back to all of this stuff makes me doing my stuff easier, and it makes my life easier, and it's just little ways that I'm like caring for myself, which maybe not everybody has to think that way, or maybe not everybody actually has to function this way, but like this kind of stuff for me to like get out in front of, like, so my last show that I did, I set my invoice up after I had everything ordered. I figured out how much time was going to be involved, who else was working with me. And other than some little incidental things that I changed the day after the show, I got that invoice sent up and it automatically sent itself that night after the show was over because I set it up ahead of time when I had a little downtime at work. So I've just been kind of like trying to find little bits of flow state because as someone with ADHD, my perfect working environment would be no structure at all. Give me the entire day down here in the basement by myself and let me just like get in flow state on something and get it done. But I can't do that. I can't do that with anything anymore, especially with a child. I I kind of had the idea that I wanted to record the show tonight, and so I asked Sam at breakfast this morning, could I not take Evie tomorrow morning, and sleep in a little bit? Because our schedule is that, like, Evie goes to bed, whatever. Sam will get her during the night if she wakes up, which she's doing less and less unless she's sick or something. And then whenever Evie wakes up between 6:30 and 8 a.m., that's on me. And I take her either until I have to go to work or until Sam wakes up or it's until her first nap. You know what I mean? Like, and we just hang out. And I really enjoy that time, but sometimes it's nice to be able to do something like this where, like, Evie went to bed 3 hours ago, Sam put her to bed tonight, and I have been down here prepping for this show, music going, figuring out all of my, like, recording setup, and just, like, giving myself a chance to hyper focus, just, like, flow on something for a while. And, all of this is me caring for myself in ways that I never have before. I've never thought that I was worth giving myself the time to do this. Or like I would never have thought before to plan ahead to like ask Sam if I could have tomorrow morning off so that I can stay up a little bit later than usual and record this and spend however much time I want to on it so that I get it right and that I enjoy doing it. And this is actually really fun. I hope you're enjoying it. We'll see how this goes. Like, I don't know whose school of thought I'm going to follow on this show in terms of like editing and what gets put out and like, especially like, we'll see what I talk about, right? Like, this is only the first episode, but just anyways, let's do another break and we'll come back and do the last segment. So to wrap it up today, I want to talk about music that I've really, really enjoyed listening to in 2023. And specifically music that came out in 2023. Just because, I don't know. I haven't really done a list like this in a long time. I used to be the kind of person who like wrote a blog every year about like the top 10 albums and like wrote a little bit of thing about it. And I don't know, your priorities change as you get older. So, in no particular order, mostly in alphabetical order, I used iTunes to compile this for me. And, so let's get started. First is a band named Covet and their album Catharsis. This is math rock at its finest, alternative rock at its finest. In general, no singing. There's a couple tracks with some stuff, but Covet, yeah, man. Just like the girl that plays guitar in that band is really, really good. She like started the band over, got some new people in it with her, and this new album I listen to on a weekly basis since it came out. All the links for this stuff are going to be in the show notes. I'll have like Apple Music links, Spotify links, or something. I don't know, whatever ends up being there. Links are in the show notes for the podcast player of your choice. catharsis, man. It opens with this like shoegaze, like who am I thinking of? Like Godspeed to You, Black Emperor, or Project 86, like just big, huge, slower tempo, fuzzy rock song. And there's some words in it and stuff, but man, it's really great. I really enjoy it. And the whole album it's just math rock. It's really, really great. Check it out. Next up, Boys Like Girls. Boys Like Girls is fronted by a guy named Martin. Boys Like Girls was definitely a band that I like cut my teeth on back in like high school. They were up there with like, The Academy Is, Fall Out Boy, Motion City Soundtrack, Panic at the Disco, that whole like deal. So I have always really enjoyed them. Martin has, since that time, like Boys Like Girls broke up or went on hiatus, whatever. And Martin has like, he's always been a really killer songwriter. And he started writing with just kind of like everybody. I don't want to, I'll do it. That's fine. Let's see. Martin Johnson. Let's see. Miley Cyrus, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Hot Shell, Papa Roach, The Used, Christina Perri, Daughtry, Gavin Graw, Avril Lavigne, Jason Derulo, Escape the Fate, Matt Carney, Betty Who. He's written with a bunch of people: Elle King, Flo Rida, Hunter Hayes, Kygo, Lady A. Most recently, with Taylor Swift in 2023. Wrote with her on If This Was a Movie. He, was the writer with her originally on that and got the rewrite credit this year. So this dude just like songwriting machine, right? And he had a project in 2017 named The Night Game. And I didn't even like, so like the way I found out about that was John Mayer posting on Instagram or Twitter or something, just like I heard this. I heard this song and then I had to listen to it again to make sure that I literally just heard what I just heard. And then I asked these guys to go on tour with me. And I listened to this song, The Outfield, and it is still, to this day, since 2017, like one of the number one most listened to songs in my library. It's a killer pop song. It is a perfect pop song, I would dare say. So, Night Game put out 2 records. The first one is really, really good. Second one, And I think that's why Boys Like Girls are back. You got the band back together. Those dudes have all been like the guitar player in Boys Like Girls has been producing like some hot country music, again, with you name it in country, and he's been producing it. But like, got all these guys back together, and Martin, as I've listened to this record Sunday at Foxwoods, it sounds to me like he took a bunch of these songs that were either like from the Night Game session, or with other artists that he's written with that like never got used. Like I was just reading off that list on Wikipedia, but like from friends in Nashville have talked about the fact that he's written with like Maroon 5, he's written with the band Camino, and there are definitely songs on this. Oh, and the Jonas Brothers, and like there are like songs on this record that sound like, I was like, oh, that could be a Jonas Brothers song. Oh, that could be a Maroon 5 song. Oh, that one was definitely with the band Camino. Like, and it's cool because it's like, hey, I wrote this with these guys. I didn't really like it, which happens all the time, right? Like songwriting, especially when you're someone like Martin who just writes and writes and writes and writes. When you write like that, you just have songs that sit around forever, right? And so I don't know. My guess is that that there is a chunk of songs on this record that were written with other people for other records that didn't get used. And he went, cool, I like this for mine. Let's do it. Anyways, a fantastic pop record. To quote Sophie, friend of the show, Sophie, these songs fuck. And I'm like, there is not a miss on this whole entire album. Pop banger after pop banger, and then just this love ballad in the middle, and just please check it out. It's a three-way tie for album of the year for me, with that album, Sunday at Foxwoods. The next one is St. Lucia and Utopia. This is number 2 in the three-way tie for album of the year for me. Utopia, St. Lucia. I don't know what number record this is for them, but holy cow. One, it's like, I mean, the only thing that I really want to say about this record is that you need to listen to it top to bottom. The first 5 songs are really, 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 really great. The rest of the album is strong, but not as strong as those first 5 songs. Those first 5 songs are like if Arcade Fire didn't suck. That's all I have to say about that. Next up is Laney, A Beautiful Blur. You know what? I'm changing my mind here live. This is the kind of show this is. Three-way tie for album of the year is between Boys Like Girls, Sunday at Foxwoods, Laney, A Beautiful Blur, and not the St. Lucia record. I'm changing my mind. Chappelle Roane, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, but we'll get there. Still, go listen to Utopia by St. Lucia. Those first 5 songs, holy shit. Quick, quick takeaways, favorite songs, Separate World, The Golden Age, and Another Lifetime for sure. Like I said, first 5 songs are like just amazing. Next up on the list, Laney, A Beautiful Blur. Wow, y'all. Wow. Paul Jason Klein and the dude that used to be the drummer in Jars of Clay. I don't know his name, but they went for that like late 90s, early 2000s boy band pop rock sound, and they nailed it. Again, another kind of like Sunday at Foxwoods, there isn't a song on this album that I would want to skip. There isn't a song on this album that doesn't at some point make me like have goosebumps or say some unholy words out loud as I'm listening to it, or just like get totally like the amount of like exits that I've missed while blasting this album or the Boys Like Girls album this year is pretty ridiculous. A Beautiful Blur. Standout tracks are Double XL, Sugar and Cinnamon, It Even Rains in LA, and Saturday Night, 3:22 a.m. But again, the whole album, just like unimpeachable. A great pop record. And I like that sound. I love this, like, let's redo some past era sound and then make it even better, because today's modern production techniques are pretty hot. Next up, three-way tie for album of the year, Boys Like Girls, Laney, and Chappelle Roane, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. This is an album I came on to very recently, but like from the first listen through, I was hooked, and it will be staying with me in the rotation for a while. Produced by the same guy that produced Olivia Rodrigo's album, and if you listen to that, you're going to hear it right away. I didn't hear it right away because I didn't spend a lot of time with Olivia Rodrigo's album, because I wasn't into it at the time. I'll go give it another shot now that it's not like all over everything. Plus the whole like ripping off Hayley Williams thing just kind of like put me off. But anyways, same producer as Olivia Rodrigo, Chappelle Roane. Holy cow, just like songwriting in a way that nobody else is songwriting, like raw honesty about being a modern late teens, early 20 something year old girl. I just like, don't listen to this around your mom. Don't listen to this around people that are sensitive, like that won't like weird lyrics or very strong lyrics. Like she talks about eating somebody out. She Just lots of sex stuff. But like, do your thing. Like, this is where we are in modern music, and I'm here for it. It's a pop record, unlike any other this year. And I feel like I've said pop record a lot, but that's what I listen to. I'm a dirty little slut for some good pop music. Um, yeah, I really cannot pick between Chappelle, Laney, and Boys Like Girls. Moving on. Everything Yes, Volume 1, Instrumental Jazz. Enough said. Miley Cyrus, Endless Summer. Again, enough said. Just like, I will not hear a word. I will not hear a word against Miley Cyrus. Flowers, holy cow. 1,000 Miles, holy cow. Uh, Muddy Feet, holy cow. I mean, just the whole album, man. Just, yeah, I love it. Let's see. Next up, Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time. This guy, I mean, 36 songs. He went for the triple album. It's pretty freaking ridiculous. It's a great album. Is that how many songs it is? 36 songs, 1 hour and 52 minutes. Man, I mean, I just what a thing to do. He does a single album, then his second album was a double album, and then his next album is a triple album, 3 12 stacks. Like, imagine writing so much music and liking so many of them, and you're like, I need to put out a triple album. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody's put out a 36 song album in 2 decades, 3 decades. Motherfuckers out here doing it. I don't care what you say about him. I don't care that he is a drug fiend. I don't care. Like, he's not killing people, and he's making a lot of people happy, and he's making some damn good music. Kind of like Miley. I don't want to hear it about Morgan Wallen. Everybody is an asshole. Everybody lies. Next up is the Godzilla -1 soundtrack. If you haven't seen the movie Godzilla -1, I first of all, I am an unashamed Godzilla fan, and go check out my other show. It's about Godzilla movies. I grew up watching Godzilla movies, and I have a friend named Brian who has never seen any of them in his life, and he's not much younger than me, and so we have a show called It's About Godzilla Movies, and we watch them, and then we talk about them, and it's about Godzilla movies. Anyways, I am a very, very big Godzilla fan. Setting that aside, this movie is one of the best movies of 2023. The story is insanely compelling. I cried 5 times during the first one. I had chills. I wanted to get up and like cheer and yell. It's heartbreaking, and it's a horror suspense kind of, like, it reminded me of Jaws at a certain point, and just like, holy cow, what a movie. I've seen it 3 times. Twice. I'm going to see it a third time in Dolby Atmos. But the soundtrack, holy cow. Naoki Sato did a really great job, and it's another, along with like Everything Yes, and just all the other like instrumental music that I listen to. It's a good at work one. Well, not really at work. It's a good background one for me when I'm alone. Don't listen to it at work around other people. They'll think you're weird. Next up, Paramore. This Is Why. They don't miss. Friend of the show, Haley Williams. She doesn't miss. C'est Comme Ça is a really fun song. The whole thing. Thick Skull, beautiful. Chef's Kiss. Thank you. Little tiny EP. I think it's only like 4 or 5 songs. Next up on the list is an artist named Strong Boy with an I. And the EP is named Strong Boy. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs. Just really great female vocals. I would not be surprised to learn that she does everything by herself. I really, really dig it. Go check it out. Kind of lo-fi hip hop vibes, female vocals. Again, real great. Two more. Zach Bryan, self-titled Zach Bryan. Holy cow, country breakout album of the year. More great songwriting. I cannot like pop music and country music are having a moment, and it's about time because since I don't know, probably 2018, 2019, it's been a lot of rap and hip hop, which I'm not upset about. I love me some SZA. I'm really looking forward to listening to Pink Friday 2. I love me some Kanye. I love like but I'm really really thankful to be back to like guitar parts, real drums, songs with stories, people like Jelly Roll. Anyways, Zach Bryan, and just to put it on here because I'm enjoying listening to it again. I was a really big fan when it originally came out, 1989 by Taylor Swift. Yeah, just it's a great record, unimpeachably, and it's also a record that I was like really into listening to with Sam when we were dating. So it's just a whole bunch of happy memories attached there for me. Do you like that little buffering? That's it. This is the show. We'll see you next time.